Hey, everybody. Hey. Um, I'm just letting everybody in our group know. We're on Telegram, Metaphysical Misfits, if you would like to join our conversation. Um, it took me, I know I said I was going to be on here at 9, and I'm always late because I just about have a full-blown panic attack every time before I am about to sign on. So thank you for your patience while I collected myself. I'm really excited about today because we're going to talk about a topic that's really hard to talk about and really important to talk about. Hey, Betsy. Hey. Oh, no, Tia, I found the original necklace. It's a whole story. I'll tell you about it. But this is the new chain. I have the other one saved. I got to get the jewelry stuff for it. But I'm really excited about today. We're going to talk about, I'm going to share my mental health experience. I'm going to tell you what happened, just pertaining my experience with the mental health system. And what it's really like to go through that system, what I learned, and how I got myself out. And first, I wanted to just pull a few little cards. It has a little bear on the back. Be fierce, be gentle. Yeah. 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 There's another good one. You're free to fly. I wish it wasn't backwards. You know what it is. My friend Lacey got me this beautiful deck. I love it. Look at this. I'm just giving a few minutes to see if anyone else is going to join. Let's pull a self-care card. I got this Sacred Self-Care Oracle deck. See what today's self-care card is. Gotta take time for self-care. And the excuse of, oh, I don't have time, or, oh, the kids. No, that's a bullshit excuse. I'm gonna call you out on that, mama, because if you're really concerned about being a good mom, you're gonna model self-care for your kids. That's number one. Over if your dishes are clean or dirty. You know, for some people, having the dishes done is self-care because when the environment is clean, you know, we feel better. But if it gets to the point where it's like an OCD issue and you're crazy about it and torturing everybody in your house, that's when it's something you want to get back into balance, you know? So, yes. And we make those excuses because we've been taught to make those excuses. So it's one of these things where it's not, oh, I do that, guilt, shame, why do I do that? It's, oh, I'm caught in this loop, in this paradigm of martyrdom, sacrifice, bullshit, and I'm not going to do that anymore. We're not responsible for what happened. We can't change it, but we're responsible for doing the work now. Yep. Yeah. Now, and I had to do the same thing because before the kids were born, my house was always clean, other than my laundry bedroom area is always a disaster. Um, and I like had a lot of pride on it because it was not only how I made myself feel comfortable, but how I knew it would make other people feel comfortable. Hi, baby. Good morning. You can come give me kisses. You can come. Just come this way. Come this way. How are you? You say hi.
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 I love you so
I
much.
love you. Did you sleep good?
Yeah.
Good. Hey, self-care card. Look, pull one. Pick one. Pick a card, any card. Okay, what'd you get?
I got
Abundance planning. That means like planning for all of the things that you want to happen. Like all the good things, all the things you want to create. Like sit down and draw some pictures of like what do you want to manifest? Like a house or whatever, or a toy or a class or a game. Yeah. You're good at manifesting. You do it all the time. Yay. Good job.
Thank you.
I love you. Okay. So yeah, we're taught that. It's a thing, and it's a thing that has kept us sick, and and it's a way that they trick us into oppressing ourselves. And or not they. I want to stop using us them language. It is a way we are tricked into oppressing ourselves and keeping up this illusion, you know? And so at some point we got to like stop the insanity. I don't know if any of y'all remember Susan Powders, but she's a crazy she was a crazy thing, and she would say stop the insanity, and we just need to do that. So self-care card. Oh, ironically enough, clean your space. That's cool. What a neat little. Oh, that's a neat little coinky dink. Okay, what's it say? The mantra is my physical space is clean and tidy, my mind is clear. Giving yourself the gift of a clean space has a ripple effect. It allows more things in your life to fall into the rightful place. By clearing and cleansing your surroundings, you can also declutter your mind, starting with cleaning your bedroom and then working your way out to all corners of your home. Don't just stay on the surface. Take time to clean inside cupboards and drawers, sort through old paperwork, and get rid of the dust bunnies. Also, review the objects you've collected and consider opportunities to donate or sell things you no longer need. As you minimize the number of belongings in your space, it will become easier to clean in the future. Notice how having a clean space makes you feel energetically clear. Create a routine that will allow you to keep it up. To start, it can be as simple as making your bed each morning or keeping an area like your desk organized. Let it grow from there. And then as a journal prompt, you can write about what cleaning project you're dreading and why. What support would you need to get this project finished? This is, I don't know if this is like relevant to you, but this is me for me. This is for you. Okay, all of us are like, oh, yeah, for me. So we're all in that space, right? Clean your space. And here's it's funny because this goes into my mental health story. So we're going to go ahead and get into that now because I feel like that's a good segue. Um because cleaning up our space is one of the ways we can dig ourselves out of depression. As within, so without, as out here, so within. And we can alchemize our experience by transmuting one of those things. So, I had to turn my phone off. So, if you realize you're feeling like depressed or anxious or whatever, you're feeling out of alignment. And perhaps it's, sometimes it's harder to get back in alignment. We can hack our experience by cleaning up around us. And because it energetically cleans the space, and it allows us to focus on something that is present, which allows our vibration to kind of come to a neutrality, so to speak. So then it'll shift the inside. Also, oftentimes we may not realize we're out of alignment. We might be dissociated and not aware that we're in a downward spiral. So pay attention to your environment. If you start noticing that you're not doing your chores, or that if things start to get messy, like it says in Dust Bunnies, then allow that to be like a, hey, I'm your reminder to do a mental health check. Where's your alignment? Where's your vibration? And oftentimes you'll see that I am disconnected. I didn't even realize it. Let me go ahead and do some cleaning up inside. Let me clean up the outside. And then you're like, so it's like easier said than done. I understand that. So how do I get myself into that space where I'm doing that? And for me, that's just about mindfuckery. You got to find what clicks you into it. For me, I will just I found a new idea. I carry sticky notes. I have sticky notes everywhere because I'll walk from room to room, and from doing one project, and in the middle of the project, I'll go to the bathroom, past the kitchen, see the dishes, start doing the dishes, completely forget that I was doing this over here. So what I started to do is sticky notes, and I'll just put a sticky note all over the house of the things, like as I'm walking through, oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, this needs to be done. This needs to be done. And then as I finish one task, then I can move on to the other. And there's a reward of getting to take the sticky note. That's just what fuckery works for me. You got to find your own fuckery. Also, I'll sometimes it's like a dread, and it's called executive dysfunction, where you go into almost a paralysis. It's like, I'm so overwhelmed by everything that needs to be done that I can't do anything. And so in those cases, it's just, we got to understand, okay, my brain is in a moment of dysregulation. I'm overwhelmed because I feel like there's so much to do. And the thing that's a thing to realize, that it's just a moment. It's just a issue of bringing yourself present in the moment and realizing that you're causing your own issue by not being just present in the moment. We can only do what's right in front of us at that moment and at our time, So if we just start, it's like, okay, I don't have to do the whole thing. Like, watering my plants is one of them, because I have an abundance of plants, and I don't have a hose. I got to go in and out and in and out. So sometimes it can be daunting. So I'll say, I just have to water one plant. I'm just going to want to run today. And then when I get started and I'm like, well, I'm already doing it. I might as well do it. So you gotta find what works for you, you know? So that came up. I wanted to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is an ADHD thing. And I'm going to talk on ADHD also. That's part of this story. So, okay, story time. Cheers. I don't know if I can get in trouble for that, so. But I'm going to do it because I support it. But I am going to be quitting, actually. I'm going to be taking a break until I can grow my own. For a few reasons, which I'll get into. Okay, so I wrote this first part down. Story time. Story time, story time. This is probably the most complicated story of all of my lives that I feel like I've lived on this, in this one life experience. It's been a very painful part of my life, and the narrative that I was fed my entire life in regards to my mental health brings with it feelings of shame and guilt and terror, and rage. And for a long time, I've wanted to share the details of my experience. I've shared, just like my whole experience, but not really in detail about it. And there's new revelations going on right now regarding my mental health, so I'm going to let everybody know about that. So I wanted to share about it, and I wanted to step into the role of being a teacher, but I take it very seriously that even 3 people listen to me. You know what I mean? Like, that is a very serious thing to me because I know the power of suggestion. And my intentions are to only lead people toward that which frees their mind and their spirit and their body and brings in the vibration of love. And I had to take time to fully immerse myself in this mental health experience so that I could be sure what I'm about to tell you, I can stand behind it with authority and experience and results. Not just for me, but for other people also. Micah, can you let Princess out? Thanks, babe. Thank you. She might want to go outside. No, it's okay. Sorry, guys. So I don't want to lead anyone towards harm. So let me say, I am not a doctor. Please, if you take medication, don't stop taking it without the help of a licensed professional. In some cases, doing so could be lethal, and result in death. So consult a healthcare professional, do your own research. If it doesn't resonate, then don't do anything. Follow your inner guidance. You know what you came here to do, even if you feel like you don't. Like, if you lean into it, you know what you came here to do. So you have to make sure to follow your own intuition. This is just my story. So, to say I was born into an abusive family is an understatement. As with most of us, I'm learning. There are a few of us that had good relationships with our family, but it seems few and far between. And maybe I just attract that because that was my experience. But it seems like a lot of us had that experience. And so I had drug addicted parents, and families on both sides. There was a lot of physical abuse. So there was a lot of instability, and while a child is forming their ego, uh, mine was being disrupted. And there was sexual abuse and all of that stuff. So by the time that I was 8, I started to have these moments of like intense clarity. And I remember being outside in Maryland, and I'd made an igloo, and I was laying on top of it and looking up at the stars, and I was just like, there's more than this, and this doesn't make sense. I was being raised and indoctrinated as an Irish Orthodox Catholic, which I believe is spiritual abuse at this point. And none of that made sense. And I didn't know what the answer was, but I knew this wasn't it. And at that moment, I realized the light had come on, and the rule was I was supposed to go in the house when the lights came on. But I knew I was going to get yelled at or punished in for whether I went in or not. And so in that moment, it was a decision to rebel. And I remember being very conscious that, like, no, I'm not going to play this game. I'm not going to do this. And I'm going to get beat up. So I'm going to get beat up anyway, so I'm going to do what I want. And I've kind of held that through my entire life. I definitely am like not going to let, like, that's my thing. I'm not going to let this shit take my spark. Because I just didn't come here for that bullshit, and you didn't either. So I knew from an early age. So right away I was put into counseling. Because I was obstinate. I wouldn't do what everybody else wanted me to do. I had my own thoughts and opinions, and they didn't like that. So immediately they started to go to work. And then when I was 11, my dad killed himself, and the realization that, oh, we can get out of this if we want. And the concept of, oh my God, I've been told my dad is in hell. And at the time I thought it was my fault. So there was a perfect storm, going on in my youth. And by the time, then I got addicted to drugs and all of that in my own, and I have that story. But by the time I was 18, I was being put on antidepressants and SSRIs, Effexor, like Zoloft. These were the drugs of the time. And at first, they really did help because I was really low. It felt like I was in a mud pit, and it was just I could climb out so much, and then I would slide back down. And I just was miserable because nothing made sense. Because this world is so topsy-turvy, and there's something in me and something in you that knows that. And then the world gaslights us saying, nah, no, you're crazy. And the thing is, we're not crazy. But they do a really great job of spinning that story. And once they rope you into it, then they give you drugs that shut off the connection, you know? And I understand there are times when the connection is violent and there's things being worked out within the energetic field and the spiritual field that can be destructive. And in those cases, you, like I said, everybody has to do what they feel called to do. If you feel called to use these conventional medications, then healing looks different at every level. That might be the best shift for you from where you are. So I am not poo-pooing on medications. At the time, it was what I needed. But it it got to a place where it plateaued, and then they would raise and I would dip down again, and then they would raise the dose and I would, and then it would plateau until I was on the highest dose that you could be on at the time. And sorry, the they spray out here and the pollen is really high right now, so my voice is so much lower. um So, why am I apologizing? I'm not sorry. uh, so, it got to the point where I was just like, this is going to get higher and higher. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to go do drugs. So, if I'm going to do drugs, I'm going to do drugs that are more fun to do. And so while I knew it was dangerous to do drugs and take these medications, so I didn't do both of them at the same time. And the thing was, I did drugs and I drank because I didn't have the information, the coping skills, and the support or to even know how to make my experience a better experience. So I didn't want to die, but I didn't know how to live here, so I turned to drugs. And that's what we do. And there's a TED talk that talks about how drug addiction isn't like a mental disorder or anything like that. It's a product of our environment. And there's an experiment, it's really neat, check it out. So I did drugs because my experience was overwhelming and I didn't understand it and I didn't know what to do. And that was what brought relief at the time. And that's where I learned a lot. So I am glad that I did it. I'm really grateful for that experience with drug addiction and alcoholism, because I learned so much. I understand why I manifested that experience for myself. Because I taught myself a lot through that. Barely survived it. So flash forward, I did that for a while and made a lot of really bad choices in the meantime. Was really just all over the place, but it was who I was. I was like, whatever. I owned it. I really owned myself back then, but I was really aggressive and angsty. Um, and then flash forward, I got pregnant. So I was off and on antidepressants, but it was just it was more, I had issues with relationships. That was how the pain played out, if that makes sense. It wasn't all necessarily a mental illness situation. I was trying to treat it from a mental illness perspective. But what the problem was a relationship issue with myself and my experience, as well as a relationship issue with those around me. So when I got right with my relationships, when I got right with my relationship to myself, when I got right with my relationship to people around me, I'm getting right with my relationship to the planet, then my circumstances changed and I no longer seek uh, to damage and create distance in those relationships and disconnection in those relationships. But that took a while. That's taken 25 years for me to get there from this point. And this is where my absolute break was. This was where the conventional medicine side said I was having a psychotic breakdown. I was bipolar, um, all kinds of things. I could be schizophrenic, all kinds of things. Um, what I feel it was the my spiritual awakening. Some of us go through really intense experiences when we begin to remember who we are and what we came here to be. And it just, I don't know, I don't pretend to know the answers in the universe. I don't know why some of us have a harder time, or not harder time, because that's a separation. Some of us acclimate easier to the shifts in vibration than others. And that may be based on what each person came in here to learn, how fast they wanted to learn. I wanted to wake up fast, apparently. It feels fast, but it's been a long time. It's been accelerated though recently. Have you guys experienced like a massive acceleration of this awareness? So I had my son, and while I was pregnant, I felt the best that I've ever felt. I didn't need any help or anything. And then once I had him, I went into postpartum depression, as they call it. I had severe anxiety attacks. I didn't trust myself as a mother. I thought because I had a damaging relationship with my mother, that there was no way I was going to be able to be a healthy mother, and thus I was going to hurt my child, and thus I should just not. Uh, but I had to because I was the mom. So my first child was colicky, and it was a scary experience because I didn't know how to relieve his pain, and so I would panic, and it just was a really hard experience. It was, and I want to talk more about the mothering experience in other videos, because I don't think that we're fully honest about it. And I think that we do that because we don't want to scare other people out of having kids, but sometimes mothering is a violent process. And it's not that it's a bad process, but sometimes for me it was a real, maybe not violent, but I don't have a word for it. I'll look for a word for it. So I went in the psych ward 30 days after he was born because I didn't trust myself around him, because I thought I was going to be a bad mom. And I was just having panic attacks and I was very paranoid. So they put me back on Zoloft, and that leveled things out for a little bit. Then I got pregnant again, And while I was pregnant, I was absolutely fine, best I've ever been. Until the end, I had to do bed rest at the end of all of them, at both of them, because I don't know why. Because like the last 2 months, I got put on bed rest. I think a lot of us do, and I think we should rest. Treat us like the goddesses we are. So here's where it starts to get juicy. I had my second son and immediately went into full-blown psychosis. Immediately. I almost passed away in his delivery, which I feel is significant. I hemorrhaged and they almost had to give me a blood transfusion. It was a fluke of my body. If it blows my mind that if I were like, because I had thought about going and having this baby in the woods with no help at all, because I had been learning about the healthcare system and how damaging it is to mothers and the connection and all of that. Thank God I didn't. Thank Goddess I didn't. Because I would have died. My This is drastic, but I'm just trying to share my story. I'm going to share my birth story in another one because it's quite traumatic. So I don't want to share it in a mental health video. So it was, we'll just say that it was traumatic and I almost died. And that catapulted me into what was referred to insanity. And so I started to hear things, I started to see things, and the best I can explain it is it felt like I was walking between two worlds. It was the world that everyone else acknowledged and said was real, and then it was this other world that no one else could see, I could see, felt as real as this world, but was being told that it wasn't real, which that's what made me crazy. That's what made me crazy. I wasn't crazy. I could see things. And instead of being told, oh, you have a gift, I was told, that's imaginary. Your brain is deceiving you, and you need to take these drugs to stop that. And in the beginning, I was like, okay, because I was terrified. I wouldn't stop trying to kill myself. I attempted suicide 6 times. I, um, I would, I would hear voices over and over and over and over to kill myself, because if I didn't, my children were going to have to raise a crazy woman, and my mother was a crazy woman. I knew how damaging that was. So to do them a favor, I needed to kill myself. That's what I was being told. And it felt real and it felt right. And what I didn't know was when you open up that field, you open up to everything. Everything comes in. And our society doesn't have this spiritual guidance, so it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. And then there's no guidance, so you're not taught what to listen to, how to listen, how to protect your energy, how to ground your energy. Instead, they just, again, will shut it down, indoctrinate that you're mentally ill and you need to take these drugs or go into this system. And so I would Baker act myself because I didn't want to kill myself. The one time that I actually succeeded was a genuine accident. I was just trying to put myself to sleep, like a genuine, not night forever sleep, just like to quiet them because I didn't want to kill myself. And then that's what fucking did it. What? This doesn't make sense. Um, so so I started to go into the psych wards. And I would go into the psych wards because what I was seeking was care. I was seeking validation. I was seeking nurture and comfort. And what I was met with was torture and abuse and um, just absolute mistreatment. Um, I was so after I had Micah, I had to have reconstructive surgery because he tore the bottom out. We'll just say that. So with stitches and everything immediately after surgery, I go into one of these tailspins and Baker act myself. And the doctor convinced me I didn't need the pain medication, refused to give me ibuprofen. There are no soft surfaces in these places. They wouldn't give me a pillow to sit on. I wasn't allowed to do the sitz baths that I was supposed to do. I was in so much pain. I was in the ACT facility in Volusia County, and they say that these places are supposed to be healing, but their walls are empty and cement blocks painted some drab color. ACT had pissy floors. The outside area was a cage. A literal cage. There was metal benches. The the Oh, this is so hard to share. But people need to know what it's really like. The doors are thick metal with a little, like, the beds, you sleep on mats that are hard and plastic. You don't get sheets or pillowcases. The pillows have, like, kind of a fabricy plastic lining and are thin enough that you can't suffocate yourself with. The water the showers are rough. You're not allowed to wear your own clothes. You all have to wear the same clothes. If you have any feelings, they use force against you. And in some cases will restrain you or drug you just because you're feeling and you're scared. I'm so sorry. stop doing this to our light workers. We are coming through to help, and instead of being validated and having support, we're being shut down and being told that we're crazy. If people had the guidance through schizophrenia, they would understand that they're most likely seers. I encourage you to do some research. There's villages in Africa where they look at schizophrenia or any mental hallucinatory or depressive experience as a spiritual awakening and as a download of gifts. And it's the experience of a spirit coming in to guide, and sometime, and we need guidance. And so they walk people through this experience of remembering, and these people come out of it. So it is possible, and we're being lied to, and we're being drugged. I do understand that some people have a very violent experience, and in particular children. And in these cases, and again, seek help of a professional, but perhaps not someone who is mainstream conventional. There's all kinds of guidance. And again, in some cases, it is such an experience and someone is in a position where medication is needed. I'm not speaking against it. I just want to keep saying that because it would be very irresponsible of me to tell you what kind of healing you need to be doing. You know what healing you need to be doing. And just like I was led to make a different choice, you'll be led to make a different choice. It's just, will you listen to the call? Will you trust it? Will you follow it? How much pain do you have to go through before you just listen to the call? So, they would wake us up, people who were having these experiences, by slamming the door open, turning on the light, and saying, "Time to wake up." These techs who work in these places are not qualified to be working with people who are having mental health, spiritual experiences at all. And the reason why is because the states are not willing to pay, just like with our teachers, for the caliber of person qualified for that position. And so, thank goodness I had a nurse that took mercy on my soul and began sneaking me sitz baths and ibuprofen. And there was never any support. There was never any group therapy or therapy at all. I would meet with a psychiatrist for 5 minutes who would tell me all about myself and tell me what drugs I needed to take and send me on my way. And I was in and out of this system for 4 years and got deeper and deeper and deeper until in 2000, 9 or 10, I was on 9 different antipsychotics or antidepressants or benzodiazepines of some sort. Um, and none of it was working. None of it was working. It was in fact making it worse. Uh, and that was the first time that I started to use drugs and alcohol with this stuff. So it was madness. My home life and relationship was a mess. And we were about to be homeless. So it and then they began to offer electric shock therapy. Um, and something about that just like was like, wow, they're just gonna keep going, you know, like I'm a guinea pig. And I started to study about how much they don't know. They don't know what they're doing with these medications. They don't understand how they work or why they work. They're adding chemicals in them that are absolutely detrimental to our system and our brains and our neurotransmitters and our gut. And they just keep loading it on and loading it on. And so at that moment, they the insurance company also stopped covering one of my psych meds, and it went from being covered to hold on, Micah, can you come let Buddha in the screen door? I'm sorry, baby. I have all the computer and stuff in front of me. I can't get up. Thanks, baby. Her and Princess got into quite the fight earlier. That's also why I was late. So, sorry, I got itchies. Mosquitoes. So, the system is torture. And it just is a lie. And in some places, it's worse than even what I experienced. And there's videos on TikTok of nurses. I don't know, people are like very unaware to be doing this. Nurses walking through, like you can see that they're in their work environment, scrubs, saying it's okay to. The doctor may say no more Xanax or Ativan, but what he doesn't know won't hurt him. Like, go ahead and give this extra, just quiet them down. And nothing is being done about it. And so I decided I was done. I was done with it. The insurance company wasn't willing to work with me so I could even come off tighter off of the psych med. It was just not available. It went from $0 to 600 and some odd dollars. And at that point, I was unable to work. So I couldn't afford it. So I went into withdrawal. And they didn't care. And I thought I was going to die. I felt like was having some sort of seizures. It was horrible. It was it was horrible. And I was just like, this is torture. Like, this is so irresponsible of the system to be doing this. Like, this is not care. This is not health care. And I was just like, there has to be a better way. I really felt, I was just like, no, there's a better way. And I don't know what it is, but I know there's a better way. And so I weaned myself off of all of that. I um, I got sober. I went to AA. I did my 12 steps, and I learned um, that I could make different choices and create a better experience and heal the relationships around me. And I didn't need the drugs and the alcohol to do it. And um, that helped, obviously. So I do suggest, if you are having an experience with this mental, emotional experience, spiritual experience, um, and you're drinking and doing drugs, it you are it at some level it's going to turn from something helpful into something that's causing your own problem. So you're going to have to transcend it at some point. Like, there's levels, and at certain levels there's going to be different things that are healing, because you're going to shift things that you're transmuting. That's another mind prison that is placed on us, is this, oh, but you're supposed to focus and you're supposed to plan and you're supposed to do this thing and think about the future and all of that. um but at the same time that we're present, if you allow yourself in each moment, your thinking will be fluid, and we just shame ourselves. And also, we're failing to realize that we're being poisoned. Our environment is being poisoned. It's messing up our neurotransmitters, and it's short circuiting the connection and the communication that we have, uh, that helps us remember who we are. So there's a lot of things that are stacked against us. And again, it's not a us versus them thing. It's a we are, this is what we are. This is a reflection of where we are in our process, and all this ickiness that we see is a reflection of our ickiness. And it's coming up because it's time to work on it. It's time to look at it. It's time to transmute it. It's time to transcend it, because it's time for conscious evolution. Like, for the first time ever, we as a species we're shifting. We're going into what's called Homo universalis. Do some research on it. And so it's the first time that we have a choice. If we wake up, we can evolve with this planet. And if we don't, we're going to shift up or we're going to shift out. The planet's going to go on. It doesn't need us. It actually thrives without us. So we're either going to learn how to exist on this planet and allow our planet to thrive, or just like the organisms in my body are hurting me and I want to get rid of them, it is as a reflection of that. And there is no differentiation between the light and the dark, the good and the bad. This duality, the separation, is the illusion that's placed on us. And it is the disconnection, and the disconnection is what feels bad. And it feels bad so it can drive us to connection. And so these energies are not separate, they work in tandem. They work in an infinity loop, and we go through processes of cycling through. In the center, the nexus is the God, is the pleroma, is the blanket, is the everything. And we, as we pass through that, we'll go up, we'll go through a period of lightness, we'll come through, we'll go through a period of darkness, we'll come through, and that oscillation is not a separate thing. It's connected, and it helps us when we go with it. So right now, we're going up into this awakening and this remembering, and it feels insane, and we're gaslit, and we're told it's not what we're experiencing. So doing this further separation, this I'm separate from Jeff Bezos, I'm separate from fucking Bill Gates. Ah, I despise that man, and I just am practicing on loving him and acknowledging that he's a catalyst for me to see the light. And at the same time, I think if I could kill anybody, let me not. Woo! I'm not. Go and push that right back inside there. I don't mean that. Or do I? No. I'm just being silly. So yeah. So there's a lot to it, and I woke up to that. And I started listening, and the more that I removed toxins and beliefs and religious indoctrination and all of these uh, ancestral beliefs and trauma and narrative and story I was telling myself, and attention that would seek outside of myself, and validation I would seek outside of myself, and I began to get messages that the way through it was to love yourself, because if you could shift into loving yourself, then everything else will naturally shift. It's a cascade. You will naturally develop boundaries. You'll naturally filter through people who are toxic. You'll naturally be guided into removing the toxins from your body. It will go into a flow should you heed the call. It's terrifying to heed the call because it goes completely 100% against everything we're being told. And when you do that, it somehow creates this experience of feeling attacked. But I also believe that that is a projection of how we attack ourselves. And as we learn how to alchemize this within us, this tendency, this indoctrination uh, to damage ourselves as we work through this and heal this, and accept this uh, part of ourselves, that which we've denied, uh, and and then we will see that reflected in our environment. So where we're feeling this call to be the change, to uh, anchor in the light, to challenge the status quo, um, you know, like it's a hard thing to do, but we can do hard things, you know. Um, so the system will try to shut you down, and in the process of even choosing, you're making a difference. And there's going to be parts of your journey where you're going to feel like you're stagnant, and then but allow that realization of stagnancy to, instead of being the catalyst for the downward spiral to shame and guilt, just recognize it, that it's communication from this guidance that we have that is trying to lead us towards our highest expression, our highest self, our at conscious evolution. And trust yourself. And if it feels right, and I don't mean just like, oh, right now it feels so good to do this thing, you know, play that out. Will it really feel good? Does it really set you up for what you want? um Follow the breadcrumbs. because the universe is leaving them for us. And it can be fun to interact with this energy. It doesn't have to be scary. So I want to talk in regard to recently I began to go through another dark night of the soul, another leveling up, another shift. And I am realizing that I got sucked back into the indoctrine of mental illness. And I was being told that I had multiple personalities. And I really wanted to believe that because I didn't want it to be true that there was this collective that I was speaking with who was guiding me, uh, and that I have a role to step into, because I'm terrified to do it. We all do, though. Understand that you have a you are if you're watching this, you're called, and we have a role to step into, and it's time to stop fucking around. You hear it. I know who's watching right now. You hear this. And so then it becomes the discomfort that we're feeling is a moment of decision making. Am I going to choose this perspective that holds me stagnant, that might feel comfortable because I'm used to this fuckery, that introduces toxins into my body? Don't you think if they really cared about our well-being and health, they wouldn't put known toxins and carcinogens into our environment? Like, start looking at what the fuck is going on around you, please. And I just, acknowledge that it's all fucked up, because it feels a lot better than pretending that it's not. And the fact that we can see how fucked up it isn't a reason to despair. It is a catalyst to activate our light. Light workers, activate! But yeah, it's time to turn on your light. And so recently I have had a very intense experience where I've come to understand and accept that I am having a telepathic communication with a collective that refers to themselves as Sophia. And it is definitely not from me, because it's way smarter than I am and says things that are like, oh, yeah. So, and the rule is, if it's anything, any message other than love, if it leads in the direction of hurting someone or hurting yourself, to disregard it. And that's safe to me. So I'm going to keep listening. Carlos is helping me write and transcribe the messages that are coming through. I am fully aware that this sounds insane. And I am fully aware that in multiple personalities, in diagnosed multiple personalities, there's often an alter who believes that they are a spiritual divine connection. And again, they want to shut that down, so they tell us that that's not a part of us, and so this is either a descent into madness, and in however long we're going to see a total personality shift, which is the real purpose of why I like to make videos, because I'm trying to see, are they right? Do I have this different personalities? But the thing is, this isn't a personality. This is a guidance. And it never ever guides me to hurt myself or anybody else. So I'm gonna go with it. I have told my teacher about it, my teachers, I've told my friends, my partner knows, and everybody says I'm not hallucinating. This is real guidance, that it helps them. I've had other people around me who may not know that I've been channeling these messages through, but if I've helped you, it has come from Sophia. I understand it through the lens of my experience, but it speaks through Sophia in emotions and sensations and inner messages that I don't hear here. I hear here, in confirmation of people around me who say that when I bring these messages through, it helps them heal or feel better or go closer towards relief, or it helps in some way. So I've had a lot of uh, confirmation that I'm gonna run with this, and so I'm pretty sure that what's happening is a book is coming through, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna call it The Resurrection of Sophia. And I encourage you to do research on the Sophia frequency, on the Sophia Code, on the Gnostic Gospels, on the concept of the demiurge. There's a lot of really cool information that I want to just chat about. And in the context of philosophy, in the context of allegory and tale, to help us understand our experience. Not perhaps everything taken literally, but we're going to begin exploring creation stories, and I'm going to fully dive into this position of I don't like the term healer. I because I am not healing anything. If you feel healed, it is because you healed yourself. It is between you and source energy. If you feel healed, it is because you turned on your light. It may be that something I said was a catalyst, but you're the one that brought me and this information to you. So it's all on you. I don't, when people call me a healer, it makes me upset. I'm a teacher. I'm a motivational teacher. That feels like what I am. I'm a motivational teacher. And I just want to present philosophies and concepts and ideas that will expand our thinking and allow us to break through the veil of illusion, the veil of separateness, and lead us more towards connection and regeneration. And I'm really wanting to step into this role. It's terrifying. It's terrifying, and it feels weird. And I can feel that we're in a dream. I don't know how to explain that. And it all was really spurred this time by being denied for the disability. Um, Hi, baby. Because I realized that the I was sitting here and I was hating everything and giving up on my faith and just ready to be dark and just fuck everything. It's so fucked. I hate people. And what I heard was, do you really hate people, or do you hate the systems that are in place that force good people, beautiful, wonderful gifts of people, into enslavement of doing bad things? And I thought, oh, yeah, that's it. I don't hate people. I hate the system, and I do. And I used to not allow myself to hate because it's a lower vibration, but it feels better to be honest about it than to hide it. And at some point that will shift and I will move past the hate and into forgiveness. But right now, this is where I am and I fucking hate the systems and they're broken and I want to tear them down. And I look forward into shifting into coexistence with it. But again, this is just where I'm at right now. And that's okay and that's good and it feels good and it feels empowering and it feels like alignment and it feels like connection and it feels like realness and it feels like authenticity and it feels beautiful and I'm full of gratitude. And I also understand that I'm not always going to be able to perhaps maintain the connection, that there are other lessons that I'm experiencing. And so there is remember there is the light and the dark working in tandem. And so that's pretty much my story. And how it was going through the very many psych wards. They're all the same. Unless you have money and go outside of the system. If you have money and you can go outside of the system, there's really beautiful, wonderful ones that have care and recovery and all of that. But I'm talking about state facilities. They are not here to help us. And we want to do better because the longer that we reject these people who are having these experiences of mental illness, the more we just try to push them away and shut them up and put them in these psych ward, these prisons, and drug them, the longer this is going to perpetuate itself because we're trying to deny something. So we want to accept with love that which we've denied. We want to understand it's a part of us, you know? When we shift inside, our outward experience will change. And it will. This is real. I have tested this. So I love you. And I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful to be in such good company. I'm grateful for our conversation and your presence and your trust and going through this. I'm grateful for you teaching me things. You are also my teacher. We are reflections of each other's light. So if you see something that you admire in me, understand it as a reflection in yourself, and you want to reach for that within yourself. Start studying alien cultures. I'm gonna blow your mind. I love you, and I genuinely mean that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and holding space for me to have my feelings. I love you so much. If you want to keep having a conversation, we're on Telegram at Metaphysical Misfit. And thank you, Tia. I think I feel like a miracle. And I think that what we really are realizing is that all of us right now, we've survived so much and it is a miraculous experience. So, thank you. I love you. Please remember to like and share and remember that you're not crazy. You're just a cosmic being having a spiritual, weird, physical experience in a soul ego spacesuit floating through time and space. I love y'all. Bye.